Hello, everyone. Welcome to UCSBGauchos.com for the first video in our Return to Play series. I'm Arthur Wilkie, joined today by UCSB women's basketball head coach Bonnie Henrickson. Hello, Bonnie.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, great to see you again. So on that note, last time I spoke to you in person, we were talking about just how bizarre this whole situation was. We were in the hotel in Fullerton.
Yeah.
And we were about to go to the Big West tournament the next day to begin play for the women's basketball team. And I asked you, have you ever seen anything like this in your career? And you predictably said no.
No.
And I'm sure the sentiment is still the same. So
right.
Just a bizarre last couple of months. And I just wanted to talk to you about, well, first of all, let's go back to the beginning. I mean, the season ends. Unfortunately, the seniors don't get their last hurrah, and that was really sad. But the season begins anew, and the off season begins, and the team needs to get back together and back on track. So transitioning to Zoom for those team meetings, probably something you never thought you would have to do at this point. How was that?
I didn't even know what it was. I had no idea what it was, honestly. And it clearly is better than, and initially it was just great. And still, we still do team Zooms because even though we're back and we'll touch down later, we still are not in group meetings or anything like that. So all of any team meeting would be over Zoom. Between team meetings on Zoom and staff meetings on Zoom, and I'm sure, like you and like many people, just how many hours. In fact, I have another one at 10 after this, and we have departmental Zooms, our staff Zoom, recruiting Zoom visits. So we're recruiting with Zoom, using Zoom. So and for someone who, and many of us didn't know what it was, it's just hard to believe that it becomes such a big part of our normal day now. It's odd not to have some kind of Zoom at this point, one a day.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned to me yesterday when we were talking before this interview that you've been able to keep something going that you like to do over the off season and in season as well. You invited back alumni to speak on some of your team Zooms. So can you talk a little bit about how you incorporated that and how you felt that it worked in place of the real thing in person?
Right. That's it was really good. And they were both, we had Kristen Mann and then Stacy Kleinsmith, and we spread them out they were about 3 weeks apart because a lot of our team Zooms are obviously trying to get information and have topics with all the, racial injustice. And we went through all of that on team Zooms and together and having a safe space to talk. And then we have incorporated strategically with, Kristen being our first guest and then Stacy being the second guest, and still looking at moving forward, inviting more people to speak but managing because of their class schedules too. So it'll be a little slower here till we get a little bit break academically, but they were great. They're wise. They're both have a tremendous sense of humor. They're relatable, and it's great for our players because they walk by their pictures all the time. I mean, pictures of Kristen and Stacy and many other alum. They're in our offices. They're Thunderdome. They're in the hallway, in the locker room. They're everywhere. And when we're recruiting, the presentations we present, their pictures are in a lot of those graphics as well. So they were good. They were honest. They were candid. They opened it up for questions. Each one of them shared their contact information that you could reach out. And I notice now a lot of them are our players are following them on social media and asked, and both shared, listen, do you want to talk about anything, have questions about anything, or, try whatever, just that they extended themselves, and which was really special. And I think it's, Kristen's busy and Stacy's coaching and Kristen's busy still playing, trying to figure out, hopefully she'll get another year. She's played in France for several years. And everyone has a busy life. So for us, the Zoom in the pandemic probably was the perfect storm to get them in front of our players, because I don't know how we would do that with both of their schedules. So moving forward, we probably kind of lucked into something here, or pandemic lucked into something where maybe moving forward, it would be the right way to do that, to get more people in front of our players, because it's not the same as face to face, but it's certainly better than not getting the chance to engage with them. And they opened it up for questions right away. And I bet half the team had questions, and it was really good. And again, their sense of humor, and they're willing to laugh at themselves and tell stories about themselves and their teammates and their experiences here and how special the program was and still is to them. was really good. Those are conversations I've had because I've met with them individually myself, and to see Stacy on the road recruiting, and Kristen has been through campus and stopped and be able to meet her a couple times and introduce her to everyone, our staff and the players that were currently here at that time. So it was really good and something we will continue to do moving forward.
Well, that's wonderful because that's so important for the lifeblood of the program, making sure that alumni and current players are intermingled with each other, learning from each other, and I'm really glad that you're able to keep that up. So now I'd like to focus on the whole point of this, which is discussing how the protocols in place to keep you, your staff, the student athletes safe this time are affecting the approach to really everything you're doing. So in that regard, could you go a little bit more in depth on what the protocols are that you're expected to follow and how the team's implementing them?
Right, and we have certainly a number of teams that are at the beginning stages on their return to campus as well. So we're fortunate that we've been through that and can offer some help if anybody has questions too. And I've had a few coaches reach out and okay, what talk us through the first couple of weeks, because the first couple of weeks were, it's about testing, and that's what's been able for us to get into the Thunderdome yesterday, and then certainly move to where we can. Get to where we can have more people in practice and more contact. We're not there yet because we're ramping up testing. So initially it was like a self-isolation, and the difference between if you're using public transportation to come back or if you were driving in a car, whether it was out of state, but using a vehicle on your own to get back. So that was a little bit different in the timing of that. And then testing. So we've been able to test on campus. We are to the surveillance testing, which is now we're twice a week. We got tested. Everyone got tested yesterday. We'll get tested again tomorrow. We have just transitioned to twice a week, again, to move forward in the steps of increasing the number. Because right now we've been in small groups, sometimes 4 and 5. We're at 5 and 6 in a group now that we're in the Thunderdome. So our weights have been outside. We run the tennis courts up until Friday was our last day. Saturday we were able to get indoors. Yesterday we were able to get indoors in the Thunderdome, but we've been out on tennis courts, one tennis court with portable goals, and the next tennis court right outside the ICA. And the other tennis court has I think 5 tents, like Gatorade tents, and then an athlete can work out underneath a tent, so they have some shade, some cover. So the strength staff's done a great job navigating, getting all that equipment in and out and being able to store some of it out there. But the work that it takes to transition from in the ice out to the tennis court. So, I mean, it's like we're asking everyone. We probably have a little bit more strict protocol, but it's like we're all asked to live and need to live. With the players now have transitioned they don't have to wear their masks in the basketball portion of it. They can pull them down, and the weights they still wear their masks. Coaches wear their masks. We don't take those off. We wear those as they come to the Thunderdome and are on campus. They wear their masks, and they. Hand sanitizers, you might imagine. Our Ashley, the director of operations, looks like the Ghostbusters. So she's got this little portable pack and this little machine that looks like a little big squirt gun, but it's the spray to sanitize everything. So she's got the Ghostbusters thing. So if she's anything Ghostbusters for Halloween, we'll know why, and she stole that to be part of that. So, but so sanitizing everything. This training staff's been unbelievable as far as the work they're managing all the testing. They are helping with testing students on campus as well over at Student Health. But, I mean, the work that John McCutcheon and Kelly Barsky and Tom Hastings, I mean, the whole administrative staff, between academics, Jessica, with Sandra in the business office, everybody, Christina in the Goucher Fund, to communicate and help us navigate our return safely, because that's the most important thing. Everything we're doing is to reduce risk. None of us can eliminate risk. We can't do that. It's not possible. But there are things certainly that we are doing, have been doing, will continue to do, and we will have to do for us to have a safe return. And those, and really we've talked to our players about it's a lifestyle change. I mean, we have really asked, and there's an expectation where we really have to kind of that's kind of as old person hunker down and really as best you can limit contact with people outside of our bubble. We're not in a true bubble. We have created a little bubble here. I mean, we have asked our administration has asked our staff, we've asked our team, and we're all living a similar life as far as they are coming to workouts, they go back to their apartments or their dorm, and those are different now. Dorms are different. We're not in Manzanita like we normally are. We're they've only special circumstance students are on campus. So student athletes that would have been in the dorm, Manzanita or whatever dorms other athletes, other teams put theirs in. So that's been different, but it is a sacrifice to make sure that we have a chance for that opportunity to compete and do it safely. That the most important thing is that we're safe, and and as we continue to grow and we move forward and return to play. And what does that mean? Because we're not there yet, because we're not playing live. We don't have everyone in the gym yet, but that's a next step for us. But increased testing is the key to that, so we can test more. So this week we are, for the first time, twice a week.
Wow. And there's a lot of responsibility on the players as well to make sure that the communication's there with the coaching staff. Everybody's informed about where everybody is. So what's that been like for you and your coaching staff as well? Has everyone been on the same page for the most part? And
yeah, there's a lot of group text messages from all of us, obviously. And then, Ashley has the lead on a lot of that information, her and myself and Ashley, but our staff's involved. If I have a Zoom with Kelly or Ashley, the three of us, then we get the rest of them. So because you have to communicate, because, when you don't communicate, there's confusion, there's questions, and the players they're going to go to anybody with a question. So it's not like they're just coming to me. So that's been good. And to understand why, and understand, here's where I think it's been really good here's where we're trying to get to. Here are the steps. We're not going to get there in one day. We won't get there. We won't get to, where we would all like to be even by the end of this week, but it's steps. We have movement to get to where we can incorporate more people in practice.
Yeah, you're not asking players where they are every second, but you want to make sure that everybody's staying safe.
Right. Something like we're asking them not to go out to eat and sit outside without a mask and eat, and people are walking around. Can you go get food for takeout and then bring it home? Yes, we feed them. We provide them meals. Now that's different too. Usually we would have catered, let them put it in their own to-go boxes. That's different. It is a meal like you would order takeout. So Ashley gets all their meal orders. When we have a basketball workout, we bring food to them at the end of their workout. It's in a bag. It's from the restaurant. Each bag individually, separately, packaged separately. So that is different. We would have normally had a buffet type thing, which nobody's doing buffets anymore, and serve yourself. Well, that doesn't exist anymore. So we've done that and been able to, use local restaurants in Goleta primarily to feed the players.
So this time can be a challenge for injured players specifically, I'm thinking of, because they might not be able to go to the training staff all the time like they used to. And some of those opportunities just might not be as accessible to them. So has that been disrupted in any way like that?
That whole process is different. Where, poor Emma, if there was one player in there, there might be 10 players in there. Well, that's not the case anymore. If it's one trainer, one athlete. So you just have to be more coordinated and organized about scheduling with her. It gets done, and our players are getting treated, but the flow is different. You can't just pop in when you come, like you'll coordinate after workout, all the icing, any treatment. We do have, PTs that our players are able to go to a physical therapist. They can still do that. So she's coordinated those. We've got Kiana in that situation right now, coming off the surgery from last year. And then I think we have a couple other players just with things like rehab and maintenance things with a physical therapist. So that has been able to be coordinated. That's been good. So as far as they're not here, not getting the treatment they need, just how it happens is much different. That's really different.
And Coach, what are some of the things that we can expect to be different about this season?
Yeah, we don't have all of that, so I don't want to speak to, then I say that's how it is, but certainly the scheduling, travel, that when we thought about that before we even thought about conference play, non-conference, you look at our schedule, could we go where we would normally go the night before? We wouldn't. We would go they're met. We wouldn't stay at a hotel again to reduce risk. So yeah, that part of it. I think in the game day, we were told, right, I mean, we've known for a long time we wouldn't have fans, and that's difficult because, you know, that's such a big part of who we are in our program, and hate it for our fans. So we've got to get them all caught up to speed, how to get it on the website. And
Right.
and I remember talking to Tom Hastings, I mean, months and months and months ago, we had a Zoom about in-game experience. What was this going to feel like as far as crowd noise? And this was before anyone really started to had any bubbles, had any competition. And I said, we have that big, beautiful screen. Let's turn that into a Zoom crowd then, right? Well, it's a sense, it's what the NBA did behind their benches. Now, I don't think we're getting Michelob Ultra to, you know, screenshot whatever that was and to get your face on there. Maybe Obama will be on there. I don't know. Maybe we can get Robin Roberts and all the other famous people. I'm just kidding. We want our donors on. So I don't know. Hopefully that's something. I don't have any idea. I shouldn't probably have said that. But we talked about, could we use the video board? And so there are a lot of creative ideas going around about what would help our fans, what would help the in-game experience for our players. And that's where it's so, like in the NBA, they piped in crowd noise, and the WNBA, they didn't. You know, the WNBA players were like, pipe in noise because you can hear everything we're saying, so it doesn't. And where the NBA couldn't because there was noise. So those are two really good examples to, you know, steal ideas from, or say, oh, we don't want to do that, or hey, that could work. I do think the distance spacing with benches, I think that is from what I understand, even the plexiglass on the scorer's table. I mean, some of that will be in college athletics, certainly moving forward.
Right. Well, it's going to be a very different future, but we are very excited to see the team back on the court in due time very soon, hopefully by the end of next month, or at least in December, and then conference play begins right after that. So it's all going to be very compacted, but lots of chances to see the Gauchos back on the court, which I'm sure we're all excited.
We're thrilled and certainly excited to move forward and progress and see where we are, and you know, I think just being able to be around the players, even though it's very limited right now, and we haven't Zoomed as much since we have had more face-to-face in the workouts, but you know, just to, you know, that's why we do it. It's for young people, and have those experiences and build those relationships. And this has been a different way to build it, you know, certainly in a lot different conversations than we would have had certainly in the last 7 months, but necessary conversations, impactful conversations. And really, you know, as we said, they are living something that will be written about. They are, where were you? One of those, where were you moments, where were you when all that happened? And certainly just trying to get all of this, everything we can out of this experience, but first and foremost, for their health and safety that's number one. And I can't even tell what's second. That's not close. Second isn't close. That's the most important thing for us.
Absolutely. Well, kudos to your staff. Kudos to you, to the players as well, the administration, everybody that's working behind the scenes to get this back on track. And thank you for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, on this first episode of the Return to Play series on UCSBGauchos.com.